everyone, welcome to Kalavira Vegan School. Today I'm going to show you how to make a vegan apple blueberry crumble. This is a very easy recipe that mainly just uses fruits. It's so delicious, it's nutritious, and it's an easy recipe that you can just easily do with your children or put together when you have guests just turning up unexpectedly. Okay, for the apple blueberry crumble, we just have some basic ingredients that we'll be using. First of all, we'll be using some green apples that you just chop up. You can just chop it up to any size that you like. I like to use Granny Smith apples. I also have some blueberries here, fresh blueberries that you can get from the supermarket, some raw sugar. You can use any other sweetener that you like, agave or maple syrup, and that's fine as well. Just for a bit of flavoring, I've got cinnamon powder. Cinnamon powder works very well with apple. It complements the flavor, so I'm using a bit of cinnamon powder. If you want, you can also use a bit of nutmeg. And just to tie everything up, I'm going to be using a bit of orange juice. Okay, so I'm going to show you the first part. I'm going to show you the first part of this apple crumble recipe. Okay, so in my big bowl, I've got my green apple. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw in my blueberries. And I'm going to just mix in my sugar. It's a bit hard, okay. And then I'm going to add my cinnamon powder. So I'm just going to mix everything up together until it's all nicely and evenly coated. Now, if you don't like to use apples, you can feel free to substitute with pear. Any other hard fruits work as well, or you can just do an all-berry crumble, or you can do banana and dates. It's really up to you what fruits that you want to use. If you don't want to use sugar, you can also use natural sweeteners like dates as well. Just chop it up and you add it in. It's good for those who are on a low sugar diet, those who are diabetic as well. This works really well. Okay. So if you notice, I've mixed everything up. It's more or less incorporated, but if you notice, it's pretty dry. So this is the reason why we want to just add in a little bit of orange juice. So this helps to dissolve the sugar a little, and at the same time, it makes sure that everything is very well incorporated. If you don't have orange juice, you can just use lemon juice, or if you want something a little bit more acidic, you can also use lemon juice is fine. And at the same time, if you want any other flavor, you can use cherry juice or raspberry juice, or any other fruit juices work very well as well. You can just play around with the fruits and the flavors. Okay, so if you notice now everything is really well incorporated and mixed, I'm going to just transfer these into a pie dish. You can use any sort of dish, you can use a souffle cup, anything works as well. So I'm just going to transfer this over, including all the orange juice at the bottom now. Okay. So I want to make sure that everything is just evenly distributed. Okay, yeah, as much as you want. Try to overfill it a little bit, because after you cook the fruits, it tends to sink in, so you don't want to have like a concave apple crumble. So you want to just fill it all the way to the top, or just a little bit more, okay? Now we will look at how to make the streusel topping. Traditional streusel topping is just basically flour, sugar, and butter. But the one that I'm doing is a little bit more wholesome. I'm using a variety of ingredients to increase the nutritional profile and at the same time add flavor as well. So if you were to look at the streusel topping that we're going to do, I just have some plain flour here, which will be the base. To that, I'm going to be adding some ground almonds. I've got rolled oats here and desiccated coconut. So all of these not only adds texture, but it also adds a lot of flavor to your streusel topping. Here, if you notice this small little bowl, I've got some nutmeg and also cinnamon powder. Both of these spices actually works very well with apple. It enhances the flavor of apples. I've got some brown sugar here. You can also use raw sugar, it works well. And just to tie everything up together, we need a little bit of fat. So here I just have ordinary corn oil. You can use canola oil, you can use coconut oil, just any sort of oil that you like works very well here. But because I want something a bit neutral flavored, I'm just using corn oil. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just transfer my flour to a bigger bowl, and I'm going to add all the other ingredients together. My spices and my sugar. So what I'm going to do now is just mix everything up together. Make sure your hands are clean. Just incorporate everything until it's evenly mixed together. It's a really easy recipe that you can just do with your children during the holidays, or just put together whenever you feel like having a fruity dessert. Okay, so it looks pretty good and evenly mixed. So to this, I'm just going to add in the oil. And use my hands to just mix everything up together. We are looking for a consistency that looks a little bit like breadcrumbs. Okay, so if you notice, it's already starting to come together. So you just don't worry if it looks a bit dry. Just rub the fats into the mixture, and it will come together. Okay, don't worry if it's a bit dry, because remember your apples are a bit moist. It will help everything to stick together. Okay, so if you notice, everything is more or less, the oil has been incorporated really well, and if I clump it, it actually clumps. So this is what we're looking for, but if I want to, I can just break it up, and it really just forms a crumb topping that we want. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm just going to cover my apple blueberry mixture here with the crumb topping. But before I do that, and to minimize any mess, I'm just going to place it on a tray. So in this way, if the crumbs drop out of the pie dish, I just need to just clear the tray. I don't have to clean up the mess on the table. So this is a tip that you can use at home as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be generous with it. I'm just going to sprinkle as much as I want. So if you notice, it's like a crumble topping, as they call it. It's just crumbling everywhere. Okay, so just try to cover up all the small little spaces as well. So if you notice, I'm already starting to make a mess. So it's very important to have a tray or some parchment paper at the bottom. I just want to fill up this small little gap here. Okay, and all I want to do is just pat it down so that it sort of becomes compact. See a bit of apple here. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear the tray, and I'm going to put this in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes at about 180 degrees. And I'll show you how it looks like after it has been baked. Okay, after 15 to 20 minutes, I've just taken out my crumble. If you look at it, there's a lot of juice that overflows, and this is to be expected. So it's very important that when you do bake your apple crumble, to use a tray at the bottom. If not, it will leak all over your oven, and the sugar will caramelize, and it will be a pain to actually remove it. So it's very important to remember to use a tray to just hold the juices that come out of your apple crumble. And if you also notice, even though we piled a little bit extra apples and blueberries on top, after it bakes, it actually sort of sinks in. So it's important to make sure that you fill up all the way to the top, or you overfill your filling a little bit, so that when it cooks, the apples will become softer and it will become smaller in size. So everything will just sort of compact and come down. So it's important to overfill. If not, it will just sink in and it won't look very presentable. So what I'm going to do now is just going to place it on. See, it's a bit sticky. Yeah, I'm going to place it on my nice little plate here. And this is our apple crumble. You can also serve it with a scoop of vanilla ice cream or any other favorite ice cream that you like, or you can just have it like that for a really healthy dessert. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. For full recipe details, don't forget to visit www.kalavira.com. See you soon.